Picks win.
What's up, everyone? Guys, presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 and you use the promo code. Welcome to Light Years. Got a nice W for our guy. By the way, shout out producer Ryan. Happy birthday, brother. You got what you wanted, which was a nice Warriors win on your birthday here. Was looking bleak there for a minute, not going to lie. I was somewhere in the middle of the third, I was like, fuck this game. And then that was a great fourth quarter. I have some thoughts, but I just want to lay it out there first for you, Tommy. Say what you want about the coaching staff, the talent, the roster, all the different things. I do know one thing. I do know when a team has a good culture and they're bought in. And look, this Grizzlies teams is equally undermanned and transitional as the Warriors are right now. So it's not like they walked into OKC and stuck it to the defending champs or anything. But these are the type of games that teams that aren't bought in, that don't have a culture, that aren't well coached, just lay down. They would have lost by 20. If they were the Sacramento Kings, they lose by 25.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pick on them because they're not like us, but I want to throw that out there. I'm going to take joy in these moments because I don't know how the rest of the season is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's 3 games essentially since the trade deadline. Suns, Lakers, and now Grizzlies. They've the fight and the effort and the even a lot of turnovers in that third quarter. They got sloppy, but like you said, they didn't lay down. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head here with the main takeaway is just their culture right now, man. Like it's a group that is bought into whatever the coaching staff is selling them. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't always look perfect. They are definitely not the most talented team right now. I mean, you're obviously
that was some summer league hoops there in the second half.
But shit, dude, here's the thing. Like they're jockeying for playing, positioning, and maybe, if Steph gets healthy and Porziņģis is, somehow healthy for the rest of the season, maybe they can sneak into the top 6 seeds. That might be being a little bit optimistic. But the point is, like, all of these games matter. Like these standings jockeying is constant, especially as we go down the stretch here. So anytime you can pick up a win, like at the end of the day, it's a win in the win-loss column. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
you take it and run. It doesn't matter how ugly it looks. It doesn't matter. Like style points don't count. You know what I mean? So it's just like get the W and get out of Dodge here. One more game before the All-Star break. You'd expect it if San Antonio plays their guys, that to be a loss. I think that's the last game before the break, right? Would be San Antonio.
Yeah.
So like, you probably chalk that one up as a loss, but who knows, man? Like with as hard as they're playing, it feels like they're gonna stick around in almost every game right now, almost regardless of who's on the floor.
It's such a change from the first 30 games too, because I feel like part of the frustration of the first 30 games was obviously the schedule, particularly with the veteran squad. Like you see with Al Horford more than anyone, it's like, guys, he's not washed. That's just a 39-year-old pacing his body. You weren't about to get this type of effort in November, and maybe they should have built the roster with that in mind a little more. So I'm sure they thought they did. But, you're seeing Al kind of what he did with his body, which is like, I want to get into shape around game 30, 40 and really be peaking for the home stretch of the season. logical. I mean, we've seen Draymond do it for years. Also, it's just like this the reality, the way older players function outside of like the Steph Curry, LeBron James class of the world. But what I wanted to say on top of that was, it's you're watching these guys and you're just like, where was this level of give a shit among the non first ballot Hall of Fame veteran type guys in the first 30 games? And it's hard for me not to look at it and be like, you know what? You clear the locker room of some agendas, and then it just comes down to, we're going to play harder than everyone. I think it was Grant Liffman said it when he came on here. He's not the first person to say it, but I think he said it really well. He goes, a lot of the regular season is just who gives a shit more, A lot of the regular season is just about who is going to bring more effort on a night in, night out basis. And I don't disagree with that. Like, how many times we watch the Warriors be on the short end of that stick, where you're just like, no starters on the other side, and they play with their food and then they lose that way. Now they're the other side of it, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to just watch them be undermanned, but just grit and grind their way to it.
Things can be easier when there's no expectations, right?
Sure.
Like, like there are any win they can get right now is seen as a plus, right? So like with Steph and Jimmy out, and obviously no KP yet. And just kind of you're short on bodies because of the deadline, because of injuries, but they're just playing their asses off, man. Like it's been inspiring. Like they've been fun to watch the last 3 games, even though it's gotten ugly in moments. Like the third quarter was pretty gross today. But when the team gives a shit and you can tell they give a shit, it's much more fun to root for as a fan, even if the talent level isn't, where it needs to be. And like you said, Al's been spectacular, probably about the last 4 or 5 weeks. Looks like
he waited till New Year's. He's like, I'm not about to roll myself into shape in November the way I need to be.
I mean, he
I had to have a little sciatica, hit the golf.
Sure. No, he was scared to get paint on his feet in the first couple of, he was not pump faking and driving to the basket. He was never posting up, and now he's doing more of those things. And part of it is he knows they're undermanned, and I'm sure he's not going to be kind of this demonstrative about wanting the ball in the post when they're more kind of towards full strength, because he realistically can't do that for an entire regular season at his age. But he understands the moment, and this is the importance of having an incredible veteran on there, having just kind of fringe Hall of Fame type of guy on your roster. He understands the moment, he understands what's needed. And then also, I mean, I have to shout out my guy Guy. Is he the best young guy on the team right now? I mean, the last 2 weeks, I think he has been. He's been incredible.
That's where I wanted to go with it. So chat's calling it out. Also, anyone who just watched the Warriors the past 2 weeks has been talking about it. Is Guy the best young guy on the team? Maybe, maybe not. Here's my take for you. I feel more confident Guy is going to be able to find himself a 10-year role on a winning team than any other young player in this roster right now. I think first off, none of their young guys are foundational players. And that's kind of, so we've talked about ad nauseum. We also all have eyes. We'd know if they had Cooper Flag. We'd know if they had Stephen Castle even, by the way, he's good, dude. But anyway, what I'm saying? You'd know if you had a foundational piece. At times, Kuminga showed it before he was traded, but we all, we don't need to rehash that. I would also say at times Pods has shown that there might be a little more there, but also if you look at the accumulation of the last 3 years, and he's currently not playing very well, it's not there. It's more wish casting than wanted to be there. When I look at Guy Santos, and this is true of Moses Moody, but Guy's a little bigger, and I think honestly he's just a little more comfortable in his role. 6'7" wing. What is he? 230 pounds. I don't know how strong. Can rebound versus any power wing in the league. He's a 4-man who can rebound like a 4-man. Quick decisions, can hit enough shots, smart moving off ball, smart team defender. Maybe not the best one-on-one defender, but he's certainly not a negative on that end of the floor. And he plays he understands who he is. He's not out here floating. He reminds me of a PJ Tucker, one of these guys where I'm just like, dude, as long as this guy's body doesn't fall apart, he's going to find a role on a winning team until his body falls apart. Because everyone's looking for big wings. Everyone's looking for big wings who know who they are, but are smart enough to play around other guys. And we're going to see him do a little more now. But like the reality of Guy is, let's say Porziņģis is what he was pre-injury in health. And let's say Steph comes back. Are you worried about Guy not being able to slot down? No, he's going to be fine. He's going to be completely fine. Let's say they somehow get Giannis too, which they won't, by the way. But let's just say they do. Are you worried about his ability to figure out his role playing off of those guys? And let's say those things don't happen and it's just Steph, Draymond, and who the hell else wants to show up? Are you worried about his ability to impact the game there? I think that is the biggest compliment I get him. The guy shows up to play no matter who is on the floor, and he finds a way to impact the game, whether it's through rebounding, whether it's through making extra pass, whether it's through hitting shots. I'm so confident that this guy's going to have a long career. And quite frankly, one of my bigger frustrations earlier in the season was like, why is he not on the floor?
Yeah.
We know that, but you know.
I mean, yeah, that's not a topic that we ever need to get into again if we choose not to. But yeah, he plays like, I was listening to Matt Ishbia was on, I think, Ryan Russillo's podcast a couple months ago, and he kind of was talking about how some of the reevaluation they did over the summer of like the direction they wanted to take the franchise was playing hard as a skill. You know what I mean? Just like anything else, like the effort level that guys give is a skill. Or like if it was easy, everybody would do it. Guy is in the top percentile of guys just in terms of effort in the league. And he plays so hard that it raises the level of everybody else on the floor, because you stick out like a sore thumb if you're not giving that level of effort. So it has like a trickle down effect. But I mean, but that's always been there, right? And like you said, that's what makes him scalable in terms of minutes and role, because the effort's always going to be there. We got like a, over 100 game sample now, basically, of him being like a very positive impact guy. Like he's always one of their leaders in net rating. Like, and that's just stuff that bleeds through from the effort and the know-how and the quick decision making. But the offensive game is coming around, man. I always thought even a couple years ago, I always thought his offensive upside was a little bit underrated, just because in moments, you could see what he could do with the ball. Like there is some creativity there. He doesn't have the best handle, but he is big and strong. He can drive a closeout. And he's a good decision maker when he gets in the paint. And the shot has developed, I think, maybe a little bit quicker than I expected. Like I feel comfortable with him shooting open threes. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily want to take in 10 a game, but I'm fine if he's taking 5, 6 a game. Like absolutely, he shoots the ball pretty well. But the offensive game is expanding. I mean, it's obviously something they needed right now, but it's been essentially 2 weeks of this, and he's averaging like, I want to say 16 or 17 a game on really good efficiency for the last 2 weeks. So who knows how real it is? Like guys will go through up and down spurts, and especially as they're younger. But it's just really exciting. Like it feels good to have a young guy where you're not like, there's not constant questions about who he is.
Can I just say one other thing? Have a young guy who has positional size.
Yes,
because they never find guys. Like I was texting with a friend, and it was like, is Guy their best young guy? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, Guy might be the first guy over 6'5" that has come through them internally that I'm like, I know this guy can play. It's like Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green. I guess that's unfair. Looney, throw him in there too. But like they've had so little success developing guys who are not guards. And so that like, even to your point, let's say the shooting comes down to earth and he's more of an eighth to 10th man in rotation, bro, I'll still take it. Like we've not seen them be able to develop like proper wings or bigs for about a decade. Some of that's scouting, some of that's a lot of things, but like he can play. He's going to fit in. You know who he also reminds me of is a player I was really hoping the Warriors would trade for when they still had Jimmy, and our kind of our expectations and our framing of this team was different. It was like Najee Marshall.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Najee, because Najee's having a great season, and that's an excellent, like that is like the perfect energy wing, right? Like that's what you're looking for a guy who, like, okay, he's not a knockdown shooter, and he's not a primary creator. So how can he affect the game? I'm not saying he's going to end up being that good, but it reminds me a lot of that where you're like, he's a little bigger than you think, a little more athletic than you think. And you're going to feel him when you play against him. Like those guys are annoying because he doesn't take possessions off. And he's smart. That's the other part of it. Like you have to have enough feel for the game because like anyone can play hard in theory. But like if you don't know what you're doing, like it's not that useful. Like you have to actually be able to commit to the game plan a little bit. So I don't know. It's exciting. He should have been getting minutes a while ago, and I'm glad for the what are we calling it? The Gee believe is that what we call it?
Gee leave. We got to come up with something good for it. But there's a lot of ways to play off of his name, so we'll come up with something creative for it. But yeah, I do like the Najee comp in a sense because there is some of like that secondary creation, like attacking from the second side, not being the primary guy, but creative enough in those situations. But also like they don't need touches to be effective, and I think that's like part of
it. You don't lose their effort if they don't touch the ball. Like you feel them, and if it's one of those games where the ball doesn't find them, you still feel them, which is very difficult for a lot of players.
Yeah, especially young guys. Like the fact that he's figured it out so quickly is just, it's awesome, man. Like it is all positive on the key front. You know what I mean? Whereas all the other young guys, like we've gone through, there's periods where you love them, there's periods where you hate them. You're like, you're frustrated with them. Don't hate them, but like you're frustrated with who they are as a player. Every time he gets on the floor, I'm happy about it. You know what I mean? Whereas like sometimes most like, dude, what are you doing out there? Can you like show up a little bit? Pods can be one of the most frustrating players on the team, you know? So, but like Gee, there's never that factor with him. He's a fun player, man. I think that's the easiest way to put it, the simplest way to put it. He's a really, really fun player who's good and impactful.
Is he going in your Prize Picks lineup on Wednesday?
You know, I feel like.
And how high is the Gee Santos rebounding line going to be? Is he more or less than 12?
Man,
12, I was
12. I feel like
6 is probably realistic, though.
I feel like Prize Picks might be having a tough time. This could be like the perfect spot to like jump in on some Gee stuff because, you know, maybe the market hasn't caught up to him yet because I think if you're just doing points, rebounds, assists, they're probably setting it like what 22, 23, right in that area right now. But yeah, I feel like we owe it to
maybe
Gee.
Lower, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, if it's lower than that, I think you got to jump on it. But I feel like the effort that Gee is giving us, we gotta show him some respect and throw him in a Prize Picks lineup. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this winter. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Throw Gee Santos in there and turn your sports takes into real money all season long on Prize Picks. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few players' stats for your shot to win. So download the app today and use code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
It is good to be right. And you know the other thing that's good? It's having healthy and affordable snacks for your child who is a pain in the ass. Guys, new year, same chaos. But what if your pantry could actually make life easier? Running a home is already enough. You shouldn't also have to be an ingredient detective. Thrive Market does the vetting, over 1,000 restricted ingredients, vetted brands, trusted staples. They make it easy with thousands of healthier swaps, things your kids love, blah, blah, blah. You know, I will say this. I've been a Thrive City subscriber for 2 years or so now. And like, I'm not a super health freak, but I also learned very quickly pumping my son full of processed stuff and sugar actually makes my life miserable. So if nothing else, I'm trying to avoid that. And then secondarily, eating healthy tends to be expensive. So trying to find ways to both give them healthier options and not run myself into debt all the time. That brought me to Thrive Market. Thrive Market's the best, guys. So join Thrive Market with my link, Thrive Market /LightYears. You get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's thrivemarket.com/LightYears for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. Free money. Set it up, guys.
You're losing money if you don't do that. I mean, come on now. That's a great deal.
Exactly, dude. Like, try it for a couple orders. If you don't like it,
yeah.
I'm not going to say that, but you know, you're out of my funnel by then. Oh, hey, someone in the chat's bring this up. Kerr has been coach of the year easily.
Okay, that might be aggressive.
It's probably not happening, to be honest.
No, definitely not. But I think, and I talked about this, I think recently somewhat, especially on Twitter, like, say what you want about the guy. He has his flaws as a coach. You know what I mean? He's very dogmatic about certain things. Like the pass nature of stuff can be annoying at times, where it's like some of that's just, the talent on the roster you don't have guys who can ISO, so you kind of have to play the system they play. And there's some downsides to the way that Kerr views stuff. Like you're not going to go after a guy like Cam Thomas necessarily on the buyout market because he doesn't fit. But at the end of the day, like if you give
my team is on the floor.
Yeah. But if you give Steve, and we have seen it time and time again, if you give Steve a baseline level of talent, and it doesn't need to be the most talented roster. Obviously had that during the dynasty era, but like 2022, that's not the most talented roster in the league that year, but it was the right guys for the system and they all fit and it all made sense. It was coherent. And I think we are seeing some coherency here. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to make some deep playoff run now, but get Steph back, get Porziņģis healthy. Like maybe Rick can work some miracles. And like, you have like, kind of a spunky little team where like you might be able to pull off a first round upset if it's the right opponent, but like, I think getting experience, the biggest thing that I kind of want to see going down the stretch here, and Steve is really good at stuff like this, is like, what can we build towards? Because Steve really does take a big picture view on stuff. So what can we build towards for next year? Can we get some of these young guys some more playoff experience? Like Moses has played in the playoffs a bit now, same with Pods, but like, can we get them another year of experience so they feel more comfortable? Can Guy like get the first real playoff minutes of his career? And because it is a different game at the end of the day, like everybody's going to be playing at 100% effort in the playoffs. So does that affect Guy's impact at all? Like, I don't think he's going to be a negative by any means, but like, does that kind of lower his ceiling a little bit as an impact guy? So it's like there's interesting things to view for the rest of the season. But I mean, look, man, the biggest thing is these guys are just clearly bought into what Steve's selling. They are a very together group. They have had a lot of reasons to maybe let this season go down the tank. All of the Kuminga drama, Jimmy goes down, Steph's out right now. They could just be losing every game by 30 right now if Steve wasn't, really reaching these guys with his message. But look, people want to talk about firing the guy. It's like, okay, there might be a coach or two who's better in the league. Who else are you getting besides him? Like, give me the guy who's going to be a better coach than Kerr for this team right now. And that's also going to be okay with Steph. You know what I mean? Like it's a very complex issue when people start talking about getting rid of Kerr. It just never has made sense to me.
I'm enjoying him having his Spoelstra post Heatles arc. And hopefully it's not as long as that, because at this point, I kind of feel bad for Spoelstra, where it's like, can we just give this guy a team that can actually win the East? Like, let's just see what he can do with the team that does that. But it reminds me in some ways of that, where, look, when they won, he never got enough credit. And I'll be honest, I was as guilty of it as anyone, where people were just kind of like, oh, look at all the talent you have, all that sort of stuff. And it's kind of human nature, and I think it happens to everyone these days. Now they're clearly not talented enough, and you're seeing kind of his value as a coach, which is he knows what he wants to do, and he knows he can get the results, and he can get it with, like, it's not a nice way to say it, he can get it with lesser players. He can get it with players who are bought in more than talent. And so, and that does matter. That is a skill, like a lot of coaching is, can you make the five guys on the floor better than the individual? Mm-hmm. And he's, top 5 in the league at that. Like, it's him, it's Spoelstra, probably a couple other names, but I kind of feel like those two guys live in their own universe at this point. Everyone else is kind of moving around too much. And I just don't feel like there's that, like, culture aspect to them. And I'm enjoying it because, look, if they moved off of Steve and he wanted to move on, I don't want to say I'd be happy about it, but like, also I could be okay with it. I could just be like, I'm going to remember him fondly, that sort of thing. But I also think the way that he's kind of gotten treated by the fan base and the general public the last couple of years has been wildly unfair, and he deserves his flowers. Like if this is the last year he coaches the Warriors, he deserves reverence the same way Klay Thompson deserves reverence, the same way Andre Iguodala gets reverence, by the way. Andre, by
100% approval rating.
Because he was probably traded 1 year before fans were ready for him to get traded. He just gets, it's like walking out on a high note. Like what's the Seinfeld thing? The walk out on a high note, that type of thing. No one ever hates on you, right? So, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I will say it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun watching Steve coach a quasi G League team and be able to get results 2 out of the last 3 games.
Yeah, but the thing is too, when you do have the most talented roster, how many quote unquote super teams have we seen fail pre and post the Warriors dynasty era? Like correct. how many superstars have banded together and you got the Durant, Irving, Harden Nets.
It always sounds better on paper, right?
It's like it's easy until like the theory has to become reality. Like keeping those groups tied together and making them all kind of essentially respect each other and getting the best out of them it's not as easy as people always make it seem. If it was, then the team with the most talent would just win every year. But, Steve is able to coach groups like that. He's able to coach, he's shown both groups. He can coach a group that's super talented, and he can also raise the floor a little bit of a team who's, lacking in talent. So look, like you said, if this is it for him and he decides to walk away, I would understand that. It's been a long 10 years, and under 11. 11. Yeah. Under the microscope for all of it, basically, besides maybe the first half of his first season, but after that, they've been a premier franchise in the NBA. So it's a long time to be in the spotlight with no breaks. Like everybody else has gotten a break, and like Steph got a year off when he got injured. Clay had his time away from the spotlight. Draymond's had, seasons where he's been injured and he hasn't really been in the spotlight at all. But Steve is he's had to be the consistent presence, and that's what they pay him the big bucks for. Like he's well compensated for it. But at the end of the day, it's exhausting. So if he decides to walk away, I'll be sad. New ideas are not, fresh ideas aren't always the worst thing. But his leadership would be missed if that happens. You know what I mean? Like the guy is one of the best leaders in sports, regardless of what anybody says. He's a 9-time NBA champion at the end of the day.
I'm also going to say this. I'm calling bullshit on him walking away. I think I texted you this before they won the Suns game. And I probably should have said it on a pod beforehand. So my bad. I feel like they're about to go on a little bit of a Steve Kerr culture run.
Yeah.
2 of 3 right now. The type of thing that just kind of reminds everyone that, hey, man, it's not just the talent. This guy is an essential ingredient to the whole operation. You know what I mean? Like you can have Steph Curry, you can have Draymond Green, you can have Porziņģis, you can make a couple moves in the offseason to improve your roster, X, Y, and Z. But this guy is an essential ingredient to making the most out of this team. And I do think, particularly with the I don't even want to call it ugliness, but kind of the unceremonious nature of the way Kuminga exited, Dunleavy's inability to hide his emotions on it. That was kind of funny to me, to be honest with you. Yeah. But the thing I said, the thing I feel on it is, if he's saying that publicly, first off, what he thinks privately is way worse. Yep. Second off, organizationally, it's not one man on an island. That's reflected in the coaching staff and the front office. Maybe not everyone as strongly, but I can tell you right now, the head coach of the Warriors certainly feels as strongly as Mike did on all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that shouldn't be new information to anyone who's been following this team. It got ugly there, right? So to me, culture run, fuck you run, whatever you want to call it. Look, is it going to lead to them getting the Western Conference Finals or the finals? No, they don't have enough talent. Right. But if they can send a message and just remind everyone that Steph Curry and this infrastructure, don't let them get another player, Don't count that. They're always one move away. In some ways, that makes it more maddening, right? In some ways, it makes it more maddening that they're always one move away, because that move hasn't come for a few years now. But that's kind of like, to me, that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, I want to be able to root for our guys. I want to be able to root for the guys who built this thing. I want to be able to root for Steve Kerr. I want to be able to root for Draymond Green. I don't think I need to convince, like, rooting for Steph's the easiest thing on earth, right?
Literally.
Yeah. But like, I want those guys to do something that just makes people realize how special they are and still are. And I want it to ignite off-season activity and, get my trade machine pods on and all that sort of stuff.
I think it's more just like, and Steph and Steve said this in the Ringer article that came out kind of right before the deadline, like, give us one more shot. Let these guys go out on their terms, whatever their terms are, whether that means Steve wants to retire after this season, he wants to coach 3 to 4 more years while Steph is still playing. Like, whatever their terms are, they have earned the right to go out on those terms. You know what I mean? Like, what they have given this franchise, what they've given this entire fan base for the past decade plus is worth more than anything. That is probably the best, of any of our teams that we root for as individuals. We're probably never going to see a run like this again. No. That we will be, if we do, like, we'll be incredibly lucky as sports fans for whatever team you root for. That is, like, they've given us everything over the past decade, like I said. So whatever,
and they've endured. Like, that's actually the part of it that is more impressive to me, because like the Thunder, they won the title and they deserve it. Are they going to rip off 4 over the next 8 years? Maybe, but it's not a given. And I know for a fact it's not a given, because no other team, like, everyone was telling me that the Nuggets were going to win 4 in a row. And, what's happened, right? Like, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's always the, the flavor of the month. Whoever wins the championship, it's like, well, now they're about to take over the league. If it was that easy, then everybody would do it. Like, now, everybody's already saying for, the Seahawks win the Super Bowl yesterday. Everybody's saying, oh, they're definitely going back to back. Like, do we have a new dynasty on our hands? And like, maybe they have all the talent, they have the infrastructure, they have a great coach, obviously, but this shit is not easy. Like, it takes a different level of like mental fortitude and competitiveness and lack of ego.
Particularly, and this is actually the part that probably means the most to me. They lost on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's the fracture point.
Yep.
Usually that's the fracture point, and they didn't. They lost. They get Kevin Durant. They lose KD. They lose with Clay tearing his ACL in the finals, and they would have won that if he didn't. Mm-hmm. And they still find ways to come back on it. And I'm not saying that there's another route to it, but like, that is not enough credit gets given to that. Like, you gotta be a real motherfucker to do stuff like that. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
100%, man. They're a really competitive bunch, and they have a lot of pride in what they do and what they, bring to the table. It's just been such an impressive run. So again, like, if you can ask anything of the franchise, just like, let these guys go out on their terms. Whatever giving them another chance looks like, we just love to see that, And the thing is, if you can get Porziņģis healthy, and Jimmy, comes back next year healthy, like, you are definitely closer than you were.
It's a lot of ifs.
It's a lot of ifs, but we're living in the land of ifs right now, man. None of this is going to be easy from this point on. So, but you can, if you squint hard enough, and maybe this is just the optimism of the last week, the last couple wins talking, squint hard enough, you can still see the path. But that's what these guys allow you to believe, because they've done it so many times. I'll just never count them out until they're gone.
They're 29 and 25. Mm-hmm. Let's assume Steph doesn't play against San Antonio. I know they haven't ruled him out, but he's not playing. Let's assume he's back after the All-Star break and we get some version of Porziņģis. What is success for you to end the season?
I mean, I think honestly, just making the playoffs would be fantastic. Assuming like a modicum of health, making the playoffs would be great. And I kind of alluded to earlier, maybe they can steal one. Maybe they can steal a round somehow if they get the right matchup. If you're playing OKC in the first round, good luck. But anybody else, I'm not going to sit here and say they can't beat San Antonio in a first round series. It'll be really tough. But like, I'm not going to sit here and say they can't beat Nuggets would be really tough as well. But like a lot of the other teams in the West, you could probably get them if things break right for you. So I think just making the playoffs, again, just getting getting some of the young guys more playoff experience, more big game experience. And honestly, just watching Steph play important basketball games is always fun. So, yeah, I think that's just kind of how I'd like to see it mapped out for the rest of the season. Because at the end of the day, this is not a team that's going to make a finals run at this point, as shitty as that is to say. So let's just make it fun. Let's try to – I want to see this level of effort through the end of the season. I think they're very capable of doing that.
Yeah, I got 44 wins as my goal.
Okay.
Which is depressing to say, but I'm just looking at they're 29 and 25 right now. They're probably going to lose against the Spurs. I want them to go 15 and 12 the rest of the way, and then get me out of the play-in, get us in an interesting matchup. Let's see what happens. I'm not super optimistic on Porziņģis this year. I think if Rick can get him healthy enough to play 25 minutes a game this year with an eye towards more next year, I'll consider that a win.
Yeah.
But also I'm shooting blind on the health stuff. Like I'm not going to pretend I'm a doctor or I know how, like what is tangibly possible with POTS and like all his conditions and everything. So
totally.
It's just, that's me. It's me hedging my bets. But you know what, guys, that reminds me of why health is important, guys. You want to take control of your body and actually get into shape and really be healthy. The first thing that matters is being honest with yourself. And the best way to be honest with yourself is get a DEXA scan. What's a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate method of measuring your body's composition. Body fat percentage, lean muscle mass, visceral fat, the things that tell you what's really going on underneath the hood as opposed to just standing on the scale. And what I love about our friends at BodySpec is they made it affordable for all. So for only $45 with the code LightYears45, you can get DEXA scan. Traditionally, DEXA scans cost $200, $300, $500. And what's better is our friends at BodySpec, they'll come to you. They have mobile vans in the Bay Area and LA, and it rapidly expanding. Sign up for that DEXA scan. Use the code LightYears45. Schedule. The van will come to you. Take care of everything you need to do. Guys, it's that easy. Code LightYears45, BodySpec.com. Start your fitness journey.
Light Years Podcast, we are brought to you by Cash App. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites and giveaways that are too good to be true. When you get the Cash App card, not only do you get access to a ton of perks and benefits, you also have the extra security with the power to instantly lock or unlock your card right from your phone with just one tap. It's like your money is protected by your own personal bodyguard, even if your phone is lost or stolen. Turn on security lock in your Cash App settings today and pay attention to scam warnings to keep your money safe. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code SECURE10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners, prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, discounts and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
I love Cash App. All right, let's get, we got a few people calling in. By the way, if you're watching live, feel free to join us. The link is pinned in the chat. Eugene, have you ordered your Guy Santos jersey?
Yeah, I would order from like a Brazilian website. Very close. I love it, man. He reminds me of like a wing Anderson Varejao. I know it's a cheap comp, but just a solid dude. Like he's not gonna get you primary buckets. Love watching him play. But man, what a G League game! Like that was a game.
I felt like I was in the Thomas and Mack Center. Felt like summer league. Dudes were locked in.
This is pretty packed for a G League game, but a lot of empty seats. I hope Joe was aware of that. Yep. A good pick me up after one of the worst Super Bowls aesthetically to watch in a long time. But yeah, that was a good game. I was thinking it seemed like it was the first game since 2019 where we had any athletic advantage, and that advantage just being size. Like it was the first time seeing a Warriors team actually tower over guys, and Horford looked like a little bit of Hakeem Olajuwon at the end. But I think that was good. That was good to watch. I will say this, in terms of like long-term success, I have two things. Like just get out of the play-in, and I think that would be great. Hopefully don't get swept, but you shouldn't if you make it out of the plane. I don't think they would get swept, but
they're not getting swept.
Yeah, but
if Steph's on the floor, they'll find a way to take at least one game, if not multiple.
They've never lost in less than 6 games. Steph has been healthy for an entire series,
and he's never had a true stretch big, like a true. I'm talking like a true stretch big. So I mean, DEXA Scan. I hope that works for KP and stuff and all that. But very excited. But I will tell you this. My real goal, more than even playoff success, I hope we get the lowest draft pick possible, just to let Lakeup know, this. Steph has to know, look, I ain't gonna get help, and there's a part of me that just wants to prove to Lakeup, look, how many years have we been saying we're one move away? Give him one more shot. We've been saying that for
since 2022.
It's crazy to me, man. And I just wish, there's a part of me that does believe though, if I take off, the hate, I didn't call in since we got KP. It's a good thing I didn't. I would have probably just lost it. But I do think, look, the options at the deadline, they weren't great. I know they were holding off for Giannis. I mean, we have all our opinions on that. The more I thought about it, I was like, man, it just doesn't seem like a good move. I am hopeful in the offseason things will open up, man. I just, that's one more draft pick you have. A lot of things can change. So that's my hope. Long-term success, but we'll see.
Can I ask you a question, Eugene? What would you have what was your opinion on the Jaren Jackson Jr. move? Because by now it's very clear the Warriors could have had that move, and they deemed that they wanted to play for Giannis, or that they didn't want to give up those 3 picks for him. But that's an actual tangible, because I feel like a lot of times we talk about trades, it's like the Trey Murphy class where it's yeah, but they're not moving him. This is a guy that we actually know the price they went for.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. There's a part of me initially when I heard it, I was like, at least do something. And from that thinking, it's just do it. But the more I think about it, I'm just like, does Jaren really give Steph the best chance at a chip? And there's a part of me that just says, I'm not too sure compared to the other guy. Even Michael Porter Jr. compared to Jaren, I don't know what you guys think, but just having someone that can take the offensive load off of Steph's shoulders for once in 3 years, I value that a little higher in my mind. I think the value was there. If they made the pick, I wouldn't have, or if they made that try, I wouldn't have been upset. But yeah, I don't know. It's a pipe dream, but I'm still holding out on Trey Murphy. I think he's the perfect fit for Steph long term.
He's definitely a perfect fit. To answer your question, if Jimmy was healthy and they passed on Jaren, I would have lost my shit. With Jimmy tearing his ACL and us just simply not knowing what the reality is with him and when he's back, and he's probably back about next year, maybe a week earlier or something like that. I get it. Eye roll inducing that they didn't do it, just because it's a classic Warriors, oh, we don't want to make bad trades. And then a 25-year-old defensive player of the year who averages 20, can shoot the ball, comes available, and they get gun shy, so it frustrates me, but I can understand it in that context. But yeah, he is what we're hoping for them to trade for. As much as people love to talk about Giannis, actually finding that 25, 26-year-old who clearly can play and plays winning basketball and slots in well, that's kind of more where I want to be than the Giannis pipe dream, particularly since I don't know, Giannis's health scares me. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It scares me a lot.
Yeah.
I think the bigger thing is to me, it's not about Jaren himself. If we traded for him, I'd be happy about it. I wouldn't be frustrated. And 3 first-round picks might be a little bit rich, but if you're giving one of those up and it's going to be your pick this year, it's essentially 2 future picks at that point, which I'd be okay with. But I think, and this is something we've obviously voiced in the past, it's frustrating that they don't show more aggression going for that level of player. Whatever, kind of that fringe all-star caliber, and maybe in a better situation, they really pop, and now they're kind of a perennial all-star. That would be the hope. And hitting their prime, it's that type of player that they should be targeting. And they just haven't read the market correctly in those situations. They're not willing to part with assets to go after that type of player. And like, obviously, you don't want to give up 4 first-round picks for Trey Murphy. I understand that. That doesn't feel like good value to me. Like, if we gave up 4 firsts for Desmond Bane, I wouldn't be happy about that at the end of the day, even though Bane's a very good player. So, but it's just sometimes you got to get a little bit risky if you're not going to. We've talked about it a million times. Going after Giannis with 4 first-round picks isn't bold. Everybody in the league would do that. You got to be a little bit bold, and you got to take some risks to give up 2 firsts for Jaren Jackson or 3 firsts for Jaren Jackson. So it's more the principle of it that upsets me, not Jaren himself, like that they didn't get him. It's the principle.
No, I fully agree. My true hope is I hope Giannis gets traded early in the offseason this year. Like, with girls, like, you got to see them with another man to know you ain't got no shot, man. And like, I think if Lakers sees that, it's over. There's still some hope. And like, one question I want to leave with you guys is, with all the expansion stuff and the expansion draft, I don't visibly remember like being a true NBA fan during an expansion draft. How do you think that expansion draft will affect the trade market? Because I do think that's going to be, having to claim 8 players and all that stuff, that's going to change some of the values, maybe even draft pick value too. So I'm curious with that. I don't know where it'll go, but I don't know. We'll see. Hoping for just getting out of the play-in, boys.
Yep. Love it. Appreciate you, Eugene. That is a curveball. I'm sure you saw that drop today, Sam. The potential expansion. That is a massive curveball for the offseason if it's something that actually takes place.
Yeah, but if they go into expansion, the way I interpreted it was it's not happening next year.
Yeah,
it's
I
like
think
so it almost doesn't really register in terms of my thoughts of the end of the Steph Curry era. It feels like something I have to deal with afterwards. I feel like OKC is the team who got fucked with it, like where you build those many young pieces and like, can you really protect Aaron Wiggins or like some of these guys who like
Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Will,
like really good players who every team would like. Well,
yeah, I mean, it would be funny and ironic in a way if Silver is finally like realizing his dream of parity and getting a small market team to actually be a champion, and then he fucks them with expansion. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's talked so long about like the need for parity and like how much small markets matter. I could actually see owners getting upset about that. You know what I mean? Just kind of the principle of it in general.
Yeah. I will say this on the expansion topic. I love the idea that it's Seattle and Vegas because the NBA is way too East Coast heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tired of the conference imbalance. Like, expansion is not going to fix that, to be clear, but it's just going to, you're going to get 2 teams who are going to be bottom feeders initially for a while. You're going to make it so the travel's less like Warriors going 2 to 3 time zones across like all year type of thing. And you're going to send a team from the West, probably like with our luck, it'll be New Orleans, who's awful, because of the farthest east. Yeah, but or Memphis, but it could be Minnesota. It could be, I mean, there's a number of candidates where you're just like, man, you guys are closer to New York than you are to California. Like, what are we doing? So I'm kind of into it from that perspective to even everything out. But I haven't like really thought about it because it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen for 2 years. So it's not real consideration. All right, let's keep moving. Let's get to Bleacher Dave. Bleacher Dave, who gave me an earful for not letting him know properly when we were going live.
What the hell
and I apologize. I apologize for that. I should.
Hell. I got technology issues.
Well,
Look,
you're coming in loud and clear.
I'm wearing my Kayla Thornton Valkyrie stuff. I'm bringing like that Valkyrie energy tonight. I cannot hear none of y'all. I don't know what's going on, but tonight was a great time out. That's what I got to say, right? It was a great time out. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh,
absolutely, man.
I'm watching. Y'all got to stop valorizing Gui Santos because Gui is not the answer, right? Not the answer.
Well, it depends what the question is.
And so I'm the kind of sick cat that feels way more comfortable paying $30 to go to a game and being entertained than having to pay $300 and demanding a win. I am so thankful for everything that we roll with. And Esfandiari, you know what it's like to be a Bay Area cat, man. You done rode through all of this stuff. And to
Oh,
watch these
I'm
dudes
very
with the effort
comfortable.
they
I'm
put
very
through
comfortable
tonight,
here.
the rising forward Santos with the spin move, right? And then you can see his confidence improving. And so this is the kind of dude, he has no expectations, but it's fun to watch because every time he does something good, he surprises you, right? And so, the lack of expectations for this team just refreshing. And so we all miss like when we were like kicking everybody's ass, right? And so that was the glorious thing I've ever had, and I wish it would never end. But everything has a shelf life, and so now we're kind of back to what it means to, I think, to be Warriors fans, and we're gonna sift out all these people who are just on here for the bandwagon, and thank God they jumped on. I got no problem with bandwagon fans. Like I always tell people, look, jump on the bandwagon. Some people riding, I lead them. So come on aboard, right? And then when y'all jump off, I'ma still be here. I'ma still go to games. I was in the house tonight with the hundreds of empty seats and had a good time with because you can talk to people. The people who are there have been in it for a long time. This is not like, I'm upstairs. This is not the people who are like there for an event. This is not the Super Bowl crowd. These are Warriors fans. These are Valkyries fans, right? These are people who are in it because I like NBA level basketball. Like I will go to a game. I don't care who's playing. I don't care what teams are playing. I like to be in the arena. And so, as we do what we do, and this is not the time, but Sam, I've been hollering at you because I needed to like vent and go through this stuff. Tonight's not the night, but we got to do a post-mortem of what the hell just happened. Because there's too many, and so I don't want to preview this. There's too many dudes named Lake up in the front office. There is, a chippy general manager who might have got that job too early, and a coach who the non-native fans blame him for everything. I'll blame the players. I think the dudes on the floor that are making all the money bear most of the brunt, and Steve gets something. Nobody's perfect, but I think this all goes back for me to when Lacob said, "Yeah, we're light years ahead," and he didn't realize that he was light years ahead because Larry Riley drafted Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. He thought it was something he did. Right? Now, the dude's a brilliant businessman. He built the stadium. He ripped that team from my hometown and moved it over to, and he bought the team with that. That was brilliant business strategy. But he's not a basketball operations dude. And I think the hubris that comes with him thinking I'm smarter than everybody else in the league was part of the downfall. But this is also just part of the cycle. And I'm thinking about what the Spurs did. They went from David Robinson, a center, to Tim Duncan, a power forward center, to Wemby, perhaps the greatest center we've ever seen. And then what the Warriors got? Warriors got Steph, little dude, and he just kept going with the little dudes. I don't, and so I'm rambling like hell. Here, maybe I'll wrap up with this. This is perhaps Lacob's biggest mistake. He thinks San Francisco is a destination for free agents.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
It's not. It was a destination when we were a dynasty and he got KD. And he somehow thought, I'm so good, I'm going to get these young black multi-billionaires, millionaires, to come in San Francisco, which has no black community, in Oakland, which has no more black community, in the area. We ain't got no strip clubs. We ain't got no clubs. We ain't got no place for these young superstars to hang out at. I mean, to floss and do their thing. Now, Giannis is not that kind of dude, I don't believe. But the league has its own narrative, and Shams and all these dudes, they've got a narrative to push and money to make. And anybody, I think, who thought that it was serious that Giannis was gonna come here in the middle of the season when clearly it was in Milwaukee's best interest to wait till the offseason. Just like Golden State said, we're not going to trade Kuminga at the deadline. We're going to wait until the offseason for the last like 3 off seasons because you get better deals. Was kidding themselves. So I think we got to reel back from that belief that we're going to get a Giannis or some kind of premier free agent to come pair with Steph in his last 18 months, years at this level. Because good God, when he plays, that dude is a revelation. And I'm here for that. I'm here for that. I'm here because I'm a lifelong Warriors fans. I'm here because of dudes like y'all who've been in this thing with us for a long time, as opposed to, so many, I'm not gonna call them bad. I love it, but so many people who are not from here and have not had this whole Bay Area sports experience. So I really appreciate the fact that I get the chance to talk with y'all, right? Who have lived through this stuff, who will be here after all this stuff ends. Because at the end of the day, I'm here for the fan culture. I love what's going on the floor. More importantly, I love us. I love the Goons. I love the way that y'all host this. And look, baby, I had a great time out tonight. I believe in Queen. Queen believe. Queen hype. Let's go, baby. Let's stay wet.
Appreciate you, Dave.
You're always welcome, man. No, I appreciate it.
I still can't hear. What the hell?
Wow. Is that bad, huh? Dave, I appreciate you. It does in some ways feel like soul quenching just to like go back to the old days. It's like going back home for Thanksgiving. You see all the old friends. Everything goes back to the way it used to be. So I'm with you there, Dave.
Yeah. No, that was. Look, we talked about it earlier. They're enjoyable. They're fun to watch right now. And how rare have we been able to say that over the last couple of years? It's just like they might not be the most talented, but at least they're playing hard and they're playing.
They're certainly not the most talented.
Yeah, but yes. Like I can like watch these games and actually not get frustrated by stuff. It's like they're playing their asses off, and they're not gonna have a lot of like enough talent to win a lot of nights. But at least like things are, in terms of like the vibes and the culture, things are pointed in the right direction for the first time in what feels like a long, long time.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, look, did I enjoy tonight? Hell yeah, I enjoyed tonight. Yeah. That's all I'm asking for. Like, give me a good 2.5 hours when you play. And look, there's enough time for us to talk about what they can do in the off season when it gets closer to that. But right now, I just want to enjoy it. All right, Tashion, take us home.
So I just saw 2 fights in the NBA. So the only reason why that happened is because somebody lost their parlay during the Super Bowl. That is all I'm saying. There's no reason for 2 fights. I can understand 1, but 2 fights is like crazy. And I'll say this again.
Well, Isaiah Stewart doesn't count. Isaiah Stewart doesn't count. He's liable to fight at any moment.
Well, yes, but I also
Isaiah's just trying to get into a fight before the All-Star break.
I appreciate
I'm personally. Trying to go Cabo. Come on.
I personally appreciate B. Stu because he tried to pick up a fight with Miles Bridges from the top rope. He had no business to try to fight Miles Bridges, but I'm here for it, bro.
Like Sam said, he wants an early vacation.
Hey, if he wants an early vacation, that might.
He booked the hotel room on Wednesday, even though they got a game Wednesday night. He's like, "Get me out of here! Get me out of here!
Hey,
suspend me."
Depending on how long the suspension lasts, that might actually mess up their playoff
standings. As Warriors fans, we're very well versed with a temperamental power forward getting ejected from a game when he doesn't feel like being on the court anymore. So we know it when we see it with a guy like Beef Stew. Draymond's done that many, many times over the years.
Oh, that's why I said he is an entertaining watch. I will always have. He has a forever fan in me. But unfortunately, Eugene and Butcher Dave pretty much took my takes. Basically, I was going to talk about the expansion draft, and I was kind of trying to make it fun. Like, who do you think Joe Lacob, not us, Joe Lacob will probably protect on this roster in like 3 years from now when the expansion draft happens?
Pat Spencer? No. Yeah, actually, since it is like 2 to 3 years away, it guaranteed will be whoever he drafts that year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like
that's priority 1.
Anybody drafted between now and then, an expansion will be kept. But what we really have to look out for is, in 3 years, maybe Kuminga's not in a great situation. His team doesn't protect him. Joe gets another free swing at Kuminga. Get ready for it.
So,
Jonathan Kuminga back on the Warriors by 2030.
I don't need another video phone switch culture trying to give me the copium again. I really don't. But now that we're going on the nostalgia trip, I'm kind of curious as to like what was your guys' favorite It's a Great Timeout Hoops experience, or we can also include the 2020 season as well, because that was probably like a version of it, even though it's kind of like artificial because like.
So I have an easy answer for that one. There was a run when I was in high school. I might have been in middle school. Where Antoine Jamison had back-to-back 50s. I was, you know, I 14,
better than Kobe.
I was locked in. I was like, we got him. We got the next face of the league here. The man's keeping him down, 50 back-to-back. So that was peak Great Timeout Hoops for me personally. Yeah. They had the game against the Lakers. I want to say him and Kobe had 50, but the Warriors came out with the win. Felt like a title to me. Felt like a Tuesday in November to Lakers at that point. So, that's the one that always sticks out to me.
There was a point in early on in Steph's career, 2009, 2010 era, where I convinced myself that both Charles Jenkins and or Reggie Williams were going to be like his backcourt.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Reggie Williams is a good.
I like this game, man.
Yeah,
listen, I have a Marquise Chris jersey, so I can't judge you.
Love that. Hey, dude, if he hadn't gotten injured, I think he would have hung around with the Warriors for a bit, but he broke his
Still
leg.
this day, personally, I think the Marquise injury probably just resulted in the two timelines thing even more than the Clay injury. Still this day.
That's quite the take.
Yeah.
Glenn Robinson III was so solid that year. I was just like, hey, you got to keep him. That's the
we convinced
small
ourselves
forward of the future.
Anthony Morrow, yes.
This is a great shout from Dub Nation 619 in the chat. Anthony Morrow, Summer League legend.
I want to say Marco Bellinelli also had a 40 ball in summer league. Where I was
just Jeremy Lin shout out. Okay,
we got the next Manu Ginobili in house. We're good. I think him and Monte are basically Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. I think
Bellinelli hit
had that take
threes.
Locked in my head.
I think Bellinelli hit 11 threes in that summer league game. It was crazy how hot he got.
They were summer league all-stars, that's for sure. I mean, neither of us are mentioning Anthony Randolph, who might have had the most impressive summer league game in all summer league history. 40 ball on 18 shots, just destroying everyone. And the next thing you know, you go into the season, a lot of Kuminga similarities with him, where you see him in that sort of open gym setting, and the athleticism just turns everything on fire. I was like, we got the guy. And then you watch him in a real game. Coach is benching him. Fans are yelling, why are you benching him? I was like, I don't know, because he doesn't know a single play. That's why. You can't want him to do anything in any capacity. A lot of good candidates.
To be fair, my Jonathan Kuminga comp has always been Gen Z Corey Maggette. So that's why I always just get annoyed with every Warriors fans trying to pitch their bandwagon onto Jonathan Kuminga when I had to bleed my eyes watching Corey Maggette be the most inconsistent 18-point per game scorer. But, it is what it is.
Got to the line, though.
He got to the line. It was ugly, but he got points.
Porn.
Shout out that one, bro.
I hated him so much when he was on the Warriors, just because it was it's not his fault, but they lose Barron and they're like, that we're good. We got Corey Maggette.
bro.
It was just always going to be the cross, he's always going to be the guy that they decided to pay instead of Baron Davis. So he got hate that wasn't even his fault. It was more front office hate at that point. But yeah, to your point, he was not a fun watch. Just a lot of it's just he got 20 points with 12 free throws, and it's all right, he 0 assists, 4 turnovers, no rebounds, but he did go 9 for 10 from the line.
It's really funny that you brought up Baron Davis, because for me it was you take away my favorite player ever up until Klay Thompson to have my least favorite player to watch. It's what kind of hell am I experiencing?
Yeah.
And all for the Clippers, by the way. Now I'm gonna get angry again.
Tasha, I appreciate you, man.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. I say we end it here. So everyone, we had a great time out tonight.
Yeah, we did. Thanks, everybody.